Hi, I'm Mary Mammoliti, and on today's show, we're making one of my favorite dishes, chicken risotto. There's a lot involved in this one, so let's get started. I love the sizzle of butter melting in a pan, the smell of cinnamon while I'm baking. I need to touch food while it's cooking and, of course, taste it, even if I can't see it very well. To me, cooking should be fun. That's why I've invited chefs from across Canada who feel the same way I do to cook with me, virtually. Welcome to Dish with Mary. Joining me in Alberta is Chef Paul Shufelt, one of Edmonton's most renowned chefs. He's the owner and executive chef of 6 restaurants with 3 different concepts: the Workshop Eatery, Woodshed Burgers, and the Greenhouse Restaurants. So you know he loves to cook almost as much as I do. Hi, Paul. I am so excited to get this started.
So am I. Looking forward to cooking with you today.
Okay, I'm gonna do a quick run through of the ingredients, and then we'll dive right in. So we've got 2 boneless skin-on chicken breasts, 2 tablespoons cooking oil, 2 tablespoons raw butter, a hunk of Parmigiano Reggiano, 1 cup mixed mushrooms, half cup clarified butter, half cup peas, 1.5 cups arborio rice, 2 cloves garlic, 1 large shallot, 4 thick cut bacon slices, a 1/3 cup white wine, about 1 liter chicken stock, salt and pepper, 2 springs thyme, 1 bay leaf. I almost missed the thyme and the bay leaf. Pickled sour cherries or pickled blueberries.
Great. Shall we start with the preparation?
Please, I've actually gone ahead and I've preheated my oven to 450.
Perfect, as have I. So the first thing we want to do is get the prep out of the way. So we're going to start with chopping the bacon. So we've just got some beautiful thick cut bacon here. And we're just going to do a rough julienne cut.
I took about 4 of them.
That's probably good. There's never too much bacon in anything, is there?
I was just gonna say, I love the bacon.
Me too.
Okay, so I've julienne the bacon.
Now we're gonna just pick and then chop the thyme. I'm gonna use a dad pun or a dad joke here, but this is a really good time-saving technique. I love using the ingredients, but I don't like picking it. And if you're not a fan like me, a great little trick is to pick up one of your strainers, take the stem in your hand, put it through one of the little tiny holes in the strainer, and then you're gonna pull the stem through the strainer gently like so, leaving the stem in your hand and the leaves inside your strainer.
What a time-saving technique.
Oh, you stole my pun. Well done, well done.
We're here all day.
There you go, yeah. Okay, so we picked the thyme. We're gonna give this a quick chop. Again, we're not looking for perfect. We just want it to be roughly the same size. If you're not comfortable with knives, perhaps another option would be to use dry thyme in this case.
Okay.
So we're gonna move over to the stove, and we wanna get 2 pots. Heavy bottom pots are a good idea for this. We're gonna go about a medium heat.
Okay.
Okay, in the back pot, we're gonna place our chicken stock.
Back pot, chicken stock.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna put the chicken stock in the back pot, and the risotto pot is gonna be in the front, so it's nice and close at hand for you to work with.
So how much chicken stock are we putting in here?
I like to start with about 1 liter. Realistically, you're probably only gonna use about 3.5 cups, but it's nice to have a little extra in case you need it.
Okay.
So when our front pot starts to feel a little bit warm, it's time to add our butter. I've got about 3 generous tablespoons in there. I like my butter, so it's delicious. Now we're gonna start building our flavor base in this. So we have some shallots and some garlic that we've chopped beforehand. Again, with those, we're not looking for perfection when we're chopping. We're looking for a fairly even size, about the size of a grain of rice.
Okay.
Okay, so when we get our shallots into the pan, we just want to give them a stir. It's going to take about 45 seconds to a minute to kind of soften that flavor up, mellow it out without them starting to brown.
Okay.
And when we feel like we're at that consistency where they've softened up a little bit without browning, it's time to add our rice. And I put my bay leaf in at the same time. We're going to lightly toast the rice, but we're also stirring well to coat the rice in all that delicious butter.
What kind of rice are we using?
This is a arborio rice, traditionally used for making risotto. It's my favorite rice for this choice. It's just kind of got the perfect starchiness to create a creamy risotto without it still tasting too starchy.
Mm-hmm.
So shortly you should start almost getting the aroma, a little bit of a slight nuttiness, just a light toasting of that rice. Then it's time to deglaze with our white wine. So we're gonna add our white wine. Okay, and again, this is starting to build our flavor base.
And how long do we have this wine going?
We're gonna cook this wine until most of the liquid evaporates, so we're reducing that wine down. Probably about a minute or so.
I'm gonna listen in, because the minute I start hearing the pan kind of crackle, I know that I'm getting close to that stage of the wine being evaporated.
That's it, that's a great tip. That's brilliant, I love that. So now we're gonna start actually building the risotto, and we're gonna do this ladle by ladle, and there's some reasoning for that. So we're gonna take our large ladle, this is about a 1 cup, and we're gonna add our first ladle of chicken stock into the rice. So we're gonna give that a stir. And the idea behind this is you want your rice to be covered with liquid, but not swimming in liquid.
Right.
And we're gonna continue to add liquid ladle by ladle as the rice cooks and starts to absorb that chicken stock. It's less soupy now, it's starting to be almost like a porridge. So I'm gonna add a little more stock at this point, but now I'm gonna go a little bit less. I'm probably gonna do 3/4 of a ladle at this time.
I can't help it. Every time I make risotto, it reminds me of when I first started dating my husband. Because I said, oh, I'll make you a dinner. And he's like, okay, let me help. So I tasked him with stirring the risotto the whole time. Let's just say he hasn't made it since.
That's a good test, though, if he's husband material, right? Because it's not the easiest of tasks. It doesn't sound like a lot of work, but you really have to stay close to the pan with this one.
Exactly. Are we looking for the texture of like an al dente?
So we are going to finish this later, so I would even go just a touch under al dente. So definitely toothsome, err on the side of slightly undercooked versus overcooked. So you're right, this is the perfect time to kind of see where we're at. So I'll just kind of give it a little taste. So my texture is pretty good. I'm probably about a minute or so out. I'm probably not going to add much more stock, but it's definitely time for a little bit of salt and pepper in mine.
I don't know, but I am loving that butter.
For me, it's usually a good time. I might even go closer to a medium-low so I can slowly let the last of that stock come out without worrying about having to scrape rice off the bottom of the pan later.
Right, and mine is feeling a little heavier up against my spoon, so I know I'm pretty much there.
On that note, I'm right where I need to be, so it's time for us to stop the cooking process. And for me, the best way to do that is to take a baking sheet like I have here, and I'm gonna lay my rice out nice and flat on it. So I'm just gonna spread that out nice and thin. And if we stopped it at that temperature we want, but then we just keep it in a pot all stacked up, it's gonna continue to cook and cook and cook. So we're just slowing that process down. We're allowing it to cool down.
Okay.
Time for us to start working on the chicken breast itself as well. So we're just gonna take our pan that we're gonna sear our chicken in, and we're gonna get some heat on that.
Okay, so I'm heating up my pan.
Nice medium-high heat. We don't need to scorch the chicken breast, but at the same time, you want it warm enough that your skin's not gonna stick to it once we start cooking.
Okay.
And then we're gonna take our breast and we're just gonna season that generously with salt and pepper on both sides. I always remind young cooks that food is three-dimensional, so don't just season the top, season all sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
And once that's done and our pan is nice and warm, we're just gonna take a little bit of cooking oil, probably about a tablespoon. We don't need a lot in there. The skin of the chicken is actually gonna release a little bit of fat into the pan as well. And we're gonna take the chicken and we're gonna place it in that pan, skin side down.
There we go.
The one thing you want to do here is we want to get that nice golden brown, like that beautiful roast chicken color you're looking for. So turning it every few seconds is not going to achieve that. You're probably looking at about 90 seconds or 2 minutes. When you hear that nice sizzle, you know you're probably pretty close to having that nice brown.
So what's one of your favorite dishes to cook?
Definitely risotto. I do really enjoy making that. Playing with breads as well. I got into sourdough starters a few years back.
Yeah, I haven't done the sourdough starter. I'm not responsible enough.
So we've got some nice color happening on my skin side. I've just given this a flip over. We're going to sear that for about a minute on the other side, and then we're going to get this into our oven that's been preheated.
How long do we bake this in the oven or roast it in the oven?
So we want to roast this until it reaches an internal temperature of at least 170 Fahrenheit. I'm going to say we're looking at between 10 and 12 minutes for this. You want to cook it through. It is chicken. You want it to serve it well done. With that said, try to avoid making it overcooked and dry. We've all had some really dry chicken breasts over the years. So we're gonna get that in the oven, and we're gonna check on that in about 8 or 10 minutes.
I'm gonna get my chicken in the oven while we take a short break. Stay with us. You're watching Dish with Mary. Welcome back to Dish with Mary. Chef Paul and I are about halfway done his chicken risotto dish. During the break, we took the chicken out of the oven and we set it aside to rest. But before we get back to it, it's time to dish. I did my research, Chef Paul, and I know you are trained in classical French cuisine, but you do cook other cuisines.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, I would say my background is definitely French classical, but you can't be a chef nowadays without having some influence from other regions around the world, and try to bring them back into our style of, comfort food and with French foundation. How do we work that into our menus and into our dishes?
How do you describe your culinary brand?
Yeah, I mean, I would say contemporary comfort food. I think that would be kind of the short way to describe it, but I often talk about cooking like mom used to. I always think back to, being a child and the school year ending and going to pick strawberries. Mom would pile us in the car and we'd go to the U pick them, and she would pick mountains of strawberries and I would eat mountains of strawberries. I'd pick one, I'd eat one, I'd pick one. I wasn't very good to bring along, but it was a fun day. And then Mom, we'd eat shortcake and things like that fresh for the next couple of days, maybe a week. But we'd also be making jam and strawberry rhubarb pie, and that was the way we got to enjoy those ingredients in the winter and in times when you didn't find a fresh berry. And so we talk a lot about, as much as supporting local, it's important for us to focus on seasonal cooking. So we have a garden bed outside of the restaurants. We grow as much as we can, but we obviously are, in a northern climate, so there's only so much we can do. But then we focus on finding things at the peak of season and pickling, preserving, drying, freezing, even if we have to find ways to get little tidbits of those throughout the year.
Tell us a little bit about Workshop Eatery and Woodshed Burgers.
Yeah, for sure. So I had spent about 15 years in the industry, and it was, I'd learned a lot of things, and I was, had, led kitchens and been a corporate chef, but it was time to kind of be my own chef and be my own person, and, open a restaurant that reflected the style of cooking that I like to do. And we talk a little bit about really focusing on seasonal cooking and simple food, but that still allows us to be creative and use great skill in the kitchen and maybe introduce ingredients they're not quite familiar with, or do a classic dish with a little bit of a twist. And that's where Workshop came from, and that was very well received, and we had done well with it. And it was time to kind of do something next, and that's sort of where Woodshed came. And it allowed myself and the culinary team to kind of express ourselves in a more casual and really fun way. And it's like, what can we stuff inside a burger, and what crazy concoctions and creations can we come up with? But it also allowed us to kind of continue some of those seasonal philosophies and responsible cooking and cooking from scratch that we took when we opened Workshop Eatery, but do it in a more fun and casual setting. So that's where Workshop started, and then Woodshed came to be.
And what's your goal with some of these spots?
If we can provide a great place to work for our people, if we can be, a positive force in the community, we really pride ourselves on not just being a restaurant, but being a neighborhood place and knowing our guests and, helping the neighborhood kids when their hockey team needs some bottles. You just give them the empty bottles, and, donating to the soccer team or someone's charity and helping out in that way, and just being a good member of the community and creating places where people feel welcome to come.
Tell us about the Robert Spencer Hospitality Group.
So as we grew as a company, we felt it was time to sort of have a parent company that helped run all the restaurants. And Robert Spencer are my two middle names, and they were both my grandfather's names. And unfortunately, I never had a chance to meet them. They both passed before I was born. So it was kind of a tip of the cap to them, and like a little ode to my family. And hopefully I'm making them proud, right?
Now, you mentioned working with different charities and support services. Why is that important to you?
We were a modest family growing up. We never had a lot of money, but we never starved for food, and we did okay. But my mom always taught me the importance of, no matter how well or poorly you're doing, it's important to give back to those that need it more. And we've been pretty blessed as a restaurant group, and myself personally, I've done fairly well. And I want to make sure that we're sharing that. And there's a few different organizations we love working with in the city. So.
Lastly, when we first spoke, you were leaving one restaurant and on your way to pick up your daughter. How do you achieve a work-life balance?
It's tough. I mean, in the restaurant business, it's sort of a 24/7 thing, but I've tried to, with the team especially in the last year and a half, kind of reset myself and try to carve out time where it's like, this is family time. Am I perfect at it? Not even close. And do the lines blur often? Probably more than they should, but it's definitely something I'm trying to work on. And I think any restaurateur would say the same thing, that it's always a work in progress, that work-life balance.
Now, speaking of a work in progress, we've got to finish our risotto. So we'll be right back. Stay tuned for more Dish with Mary. We now return to Dish with Mary. Welcome back. Today I'm cooking with Chef Paul Shufelt, and we're getting ready to finish off his chicken risotto dish.
Yeah, let's get at it. So it's time to put the meal together, and this is the fun part where things start tasting delicious. So we're gonna get our pan on a nice medium-high heat. I want a fairly large pan. You've got a beautiful one there, a perfect one, Mary. It's got lots of space.
Okay, perfect.
We're gonna let that warm up a little bit. Now this dish has a lot of butter, so if you want to use a little bit of cooking oil in this instead of butter, that's okay. I'm gonna use just a little more, because why not?
I'm gonna go with the butter.
Good choice.
So am I putting in about a tablespoon or two?
Yeah, about a tablespoon is probably good, because we are going to put the bacon in here, and you're going to have a little bit of bacon fat as well, which leads me to the bacon. We're going to set that in the pan. Now with this, we want to render the bacon. That's going to take about 2 minutes or so.
Okay, so I think on mine, I'm gonna try and listen out for that sizzling.
Yeah, that'll tell you that it's starting to cook. And as soon as I reach that point, I'm going to add my mushrooms. And mushrooms are just amazing sponges that are gonna soak up all that delicious bacon fat. Mm-hmm. So we just did a nice mixture of mushrooms in here. I've got some portobellos, some enokis, some shiitakes. And I like to keep them fairly large. I want a little bit of size to them.
So are we looking at maybe like about a minute or so?
About a minute, maybe 90 seconds at most. And now I'm getting my peas in there. And these really aren't gonna take long. About 30 seconds. I just want to start getting some heat in there. And now we're going to add our thyme.
It's funny, as a child I used to hate peas. Now I love them.
I do too. This just feels like a bit of a spring, early summer dish. The green peas just kind of bring that freshness and brightness to the dish. And they love bacon, they love thyme, and they get along nicely with the mushrooms as well. Now it's time to take our par-cooked risotto that we did earlier.
Okay.
We're just gonna get our rice into the pan. And as soon as I get that in, now I want to take a ladle of my stock. I want to maybe start with maybe half a ladle, about a half a cup. And I'm gonna lower my heat now.
Okay, I'm just looking for my ladle.
It doesn't take long for the tools to go missing. We've all been
right?
there, haven't we?
And don't we all just use whatever? I'm using about, I think, a quarter cup to scoop it out now.
There you go. Perfect.
We use what we find.
Exactly. For myself, I'm at the point where I'm going to add a little bit more. I'm looking for like a fairly creamy finish. How's your consistency coming?
And I'm almost there, I would say, because it's starting to feel a little smoother along my spoon.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you're looking for. You want that sort of smooth stirring. It kind of feels almost like a creamy porridge.
Okay, I think I'm ready.
So now it's time to finish it with the most important part. As if we hadn't put enough fat in this already, we need just a little bit more.
Of course.
So we're gonna put a couple daubs of raw butter. So I like to, rather than just putting a big spoonful, I kind of just take my fingers and break it up a little bit so it melts faster. Mm-hmm. And then a generous helping of my Parmigiano.
Oh, now that's music to my ears. Okay, so I'm just grating mine right over top.
Yeah, and at this point, I'm going to turn the heat off, and I'm just going to rely on the residual heat of the risotto itself in the pan to just kind of bring this all together and make this beautiful creamy dish. How's yours feeling? You're pretty close there?
Done.
Awesome. So we're just got to put it on the plate now. So I just, do a generous portion of it on the plate because this is a chicken and risotto dish.
Honestly, and I couldn't have found a larger plate. Like, that's the Italian in me. I can't stop. As soon as I think I'm done, a little scoop for good luck goes in.
A little extra for sure. And then we're gonna take that chicken breast that we had on the cutting board, or in our pan, we're just gonna bring it to the cutting board. And now this is just the chef and me. I've got to do a few different slices and sort of fan it out. But I'll tell you a really important home secret. It Doesn't taste any better. I just put a little extra spoonful of, I grated a little extra Parmesan on the top of mine.
That's what I'm doing. Okay, a little extra Parmesan.
I happen to have some pickled sour cherries. I just finished those off on the plate. I even used a little bit of the cherry brine. Don't have something like this, it's not the end of the world. You can still have a delicious chicken risotto, but I just kind of like the way that finishes things off.
So I just have a couple of pickled blueberries that I made.
Beautiful, that's great. There you are. We made chicken risotto.
Boom, yes. So we're gonna taste?
Yeah, let's do it. Well, I don't know about you, but I can just hear the crispness of that skin crackling as I cut into my chicken.
That's one of my favorite parts, is that sound. This is spectacular. So good.
Awesome.
Well, I'm getting that cheesiness, that creaminess from the risotto. Then I'm getting like a little pop from the peas, a little pop in your mouth. And then the tartness from that berry, delicious.
So delicious. You did good.
Thank you so much. This has been so much fun. I had so much fun cooking with you today.
Yeah, it was a blast. Thanks for having me. It was really a lot of fun.
For today's full recipe, visit our website at AMI.ca/dish. Host, Mary Mammoliti. Guest chef, Paul Shufelt. Executive producer, Michelle Dudis. Producer, Lance Corbett. Directors of photography, Brian Roy. Kelly Wolfert. Camera assistants, Gavin Lee, Braden Rook. Sound recordists, Phil Dransfield. Mike Monson. Editor and technical producer, Patrick Kelly. Editor and production assistant, Miriam Bakhtiar. Graphics, Mike Smith. Media accessibility specialist, Simone Cupid. Audio post, Mike Monson. President and CEO, David Arrington. Copyright 2021, Accessible Media Inc.